take the Greek gods, for example, it's just incest and Zeus stealing human wives all over the place. And God stealing human wives is exactly what happens prior to the biblical flood. Most of the reason that the biblical flood happens is because these fallen angels take wives from men and then have these demigod children, which are Nephilim. And that idea is in almost every mythology as well. And so these commonalities to me are the most interesting part, especially when you're talking about more ancient. You know, we know for a fact that sort of the Jewish canon and the Egyptian canon and Babylonian and Canaanite mythologies are very old. Of course, that makes them older than the Greek stories, which sort of rely on them, but are perhaps more prominent today. And even the Norse stories, which hold a lot of similarities to the Greek ones in many ways, though they focus a lot more on nature. And Norse mythological concepts is where we get a lot of sort of modern naturalism and that kind of stuff. I also think that these pagan worship practices migrate into what we have today in some modern kind of occult affiliated things, such as, you know, people practice paganism today in a different way. They might practice something like Wicca, which they claim is a totally innocent nature-based religion, but if you look into the origins to it, it's affiliated very closely with people who were practicing the occult and were doing so as members of societies that were involved with figures like Aleister Crowley, who's essentially the father of modern Satanism. And there's a lot of common themes there. I think there's another video that I could make that would go into the commonalities between these specific themes and things like that and how they interact with one another.